Hey, good afternoon there, sweet peas. Basic prepper mom Myra. Sorry, that was a big bump that I just hit. So I did a video earlier this morning. Okay, hold on. My hair is gonna... Whew. I did a video earlier this morning, and I was gonna post it. It was about 10 minutes long, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna redo it and kind of, because I needed to add to it, basically. So we're gonna add to it today. Or this afternoon. So I watched as I was watching YouTube, and I have my set people that I watch on YouTube, one video ended that I was watching, and of course it always usually will pop up with some other random video. Well, this video happened to pop up, and I don't believe in coincidences very much, but this video happened to pop up, and I was like, huh, I'm gonna listen to this. Now, I have heard people talk about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and the fact that he is a Democrat, but he seems a bit on the conservative side on certain issues and certain things. But he is running Democratic Party. And I had heard that, he's got some really good points. He's talked about things that made sense, and he's very knowledgeable. But I had not heard him talk about anything. And then, of course, I saw the video of apparently, and now with AI, there's a whole lot that I question, but anywho. The video of him with no shirt on, and he's doing like push-ups, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, if that is him, indeed, he is very fit. So, I don't know a lot about him, though. I've heard some pretty awesome things, but I have not actually heard him talk. Now, this video that popped up, it was actually called Conversation with a Candidate, and I had never heard of it before. But the moderator basically it was almost like a town hall feeling, where there was an audience, a small audience, and people asking questions and whatever. So it popped up, and I was like, okay, well, obviously I need to listen to this. Somebody's telling me something, so I just started listening to it. About halfway through the video, it's only about 32 minutes long, but about halfway through, I was like, oh my word. I was so impressed with the first two things that he talked about that I stopped the video and I made a video myself, because I was just like, oh my word. Well, since then, I finished the video, and I actually started watching, because he made a mention to Joe Rogan and an interview that he did on Joe Rogan in this Conversation with a Candidate. So, of course, I looked that up, and it's like 3 hours long, but I'm about an hour and a half into it, maybe a couple hours into it, and just listening to him, I'm like, oh my goodness. Now, I would be considered Republican. That's what I'm registered at, because I'm, conservative. I'm more on the very conservative side as far as, different morals, values, beliefs, and things like that. That's just who I am. However, let me just preface this. However, I am not so dead set 100% Republican. I don't care who the candidate is. As long as it's a Republican, I'm voting for him. That's not who I am. I don't care about political parties, basically, is what I'm saying. I don't care. If you are someone who aligns with my morals, values, beliefs, if you are someone that wants to put America first, if you are someone that wants to put humanity first, if you are somebody that wants to do good and do right by people, then I don't care who you are. I'm going to vote for you. Like, I don't care what side of the fence you're on. Now, typically, being a Republican, usually that's those kind of people will align with my thoughts, but not all the time. Well, I used to think that was the case until today. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is running as presidential candidate on the Democratic Party. So he's basically up against Biden. Sorry, I can almost say the name for a minute. When I listen to him on this Conversation with a Candidate, and I encourage everyone to look that up. It's Conversation with a Candidate, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Like I said, 32 minutes long. It's not too long, but just go listen. So the first thing that he opens up with, and I won't go into all the details because you really need to hear it from him, but he talks about going and visiting the border and seeing what's going on there and truly getting an understanding of what's going on. And one of the things he said was, I'm not a Trump fan, but when Trump was in office, he implemented policies, procedures, and strategies and tools for the border crisis that were working. They were 100% working. They were effective. They were doing a great job. And then for some reason, when Biden came in, or Biden's administration came in, they stopped it all. They shut it all down. They stopped it. And then we end up with a huge problem. He said, as much as I don't want to say this was Trump that did this, much as I don't want to say that, he did. He then goes on to talk about his experience and people that he talked to coming across the border, and the Border Patrol agents and so forth, and people of the town and the cities that are kind of close there. And he talks about, and I hate this word, but he talks about the rape tree. And y'all need to it's horrific. It is, I didn't know if I wanted to throw up or cry, to be quite honest, maybe both. But then after he gets through talking about that, he takes questions from the audience. And one of the questions is, when we have another pandemic, how would you handle it? And he says, I would not shut everything down. I would not isolate everyone. I would quarantine and isolate those who are at risk or who are currently showing symptoms. He said, but the way that it was handled was not effective, not efficient, and was not okay. And we had a huge mortality rate compared to other countries that handled it completely opposite, basically, and they had very, very low rates. One of the things he said is, here it was, you went in, even if you had a positive PRC test, you were symptomatic, and the hospitals basically said, nope, I'm sorry, go home. When you turn blue and can't breathe, then come back. He said, then when you go back to the hospital, they do two things that will kill you: intubate you and give you Ritter, that C medication that starts with an R. Oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Rifaximin. Anyway. And he said, I would implement hydrochloroquine, not pronouncing that correctly, ivermectin and the Z-Pack, basically. And he said, and as well as over-the-counter medications, really kind of giving people a better tool system, a better toolbox to be able to handle that. And he said, other countries out there that used all of that had way lower, sorry, I just had somebody like swerve in front of me, that had way lower mortality rates. And there was another country, there was a small little country or area overseas that basically implemented the same thing that the United States did. And their death toll rate was about as high as the US. But then he goes into statistics and protocols and procedures, and then he talks a little bit more about, there's a couple other people that have questions about, politics in general kind of thing. So anyway, y'all need to go and listen to it, because I was like blown away. Then I listened to the Joe Rogan podcast with John F. Kennedy Jr. And it's about 3 hours long, and I'm only about halfway through it. Y'all, I'm not kidding you. Now, do I fully believe that there is one political candidate who's going to come in and swoop down and save everything and save humanity? And if we just vote this person in, it's going to fix everything and save everything? Doesn't matter who they... No, I don't. But I do think that we have the ability to elect someone who is going to help further us along, who's going to help mend and fix things, and help put systems in place to allow us to do that ourselves. Do I think it's going to be an end-all, be-all, no matter who we put in? No. However, I'm not sure how to feel about this. I got all sorts of weird feels, because he's a Democrat, and when I listened to his conversation with the candidate, and then I listened to his podcast, y'all, this man is super smart, first of all. Super smart, has a lot of people in the know. He knows a lot of people. He knows a lot of things. He has, between him and his family, and I understand some of y'all are going to be like, oh, it's the Kennedy family, you never trust that. I'm putting all that aside, okay? Just putting it aside. He doesn't really hold anything back. And I understand, he's a politician, I get that too. But I am highly impressed. He talked about in the Joe Rogan, if you guys go and listen to that, like I said, it's about 3 hours long. He talks about the EPA. He talks about the vaccines. He talks about big pharma manufacturers. He talks about his past experience and his family's past experience with these entities and organizations, and his experience with actually talking to people. And he said, unfortunately, that's where we kind of, as a country, have gotten out of, doing the right thing, basically, is we want to listen to all these big CEOs and big important people and this, that, and the other, but we have completely gotten away from talking to the people, talking to everyone and finding out exactly what they want, what they need, what their experience is, what they have issue with, what they don't, that we really need to connect more. And it's pretty amazing and pretty astonishing, everything that he has to say. So definitely go check that out, because I'm not sure how to feel, to be honest. I'm honestly don't know how to feel about all this, but I do know that he is, I want to listen to more. I will definitely be paying attention. I definitely will be trying to find out everything I can about him. Now, there's also been people that have said that there's a possibility that he runs on the ticket with a Republican president. So he would be VP with a Republican president. I, for one, think that would be pretty awesome, because in my mind, I'm thinking that's a more balance of power kind of situation. If you've got a Democrat and you've got a Republican, and even though they can be kind of opposite at times, I think that they would be really good at balancing each other out and being a good representation of this whole country and not just one side or the other. That's just, but I am definitely going to be looking into him a little bit more and listening to him a little bit more, because to be quite honest, when I first heard his name, not knowing anything about him, his name running for presidential candidate, I literally wanted to do I did an eye roll. I was like, oh yay, another Kennedy, woo, kind of thing, whoop-de-doo-da-day. But then I listened to him, so I think I think people really need to consider him, absolutely. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, because I just felt it was important to put it out there. He really understands and knows that this country is having some issues, and he's got the heart, I think, to really want to change and turn things around. So anyway, that's what I have to talk about today. Once again, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out. But in the meantime, go check out Conversation with a Candidate on YouTube, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as well as the Joe Rogan podcast with him as well. So I will talk to you guys later. Have a wonderful, amazing day. And if I don't talk to you before then, happy 4th of July. All decked out here. 4th of July? Yes. And I will talk to you later. Have a great day.